Imagine this. Someone gives you a hug, not just any hug, a deep, meaningful one, the kind that lingers. What do? How do you respond? What if I told you that your reaction in that moment could change how someone thinks about you forever? And what if Stoicism, yes, Stoicism, holds the key to making that moment unforgettable? Stick around, because this isn't just about hugs. It's about connection, presence, and the power of how you show up in the world. All right, let's get real for a second. Hugs are weird, right? Sometimes they're awkward, sometimes they're comforting, and sometimes they're just there. But here's the thing. A hug is more than just a physical gesture. It's a moment where two people connect, even if it's just for a few seconds. And how you respond in that moment, it says a lot about you. Today we're diving into what Stoicism can teach us about these moments, how to be present, how to connect deeply, and how to leave a lasting impression without saying a word. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about understanding human connection on a deeper level. So, let's break it down. Here's the problem. Most of us don't know how to truly be present in moments like these. We overthink, we panic, we pull away too soon, or we hold on too long. And then there's the emotional side of it. What if the hug means more to the other person than it does to you? What if it's a goodbye hug, or a I need you right now hug? How do you handle that without losing yourself in the process? This is where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being grounded, aware, and intentional. It's about understanding what's within your control and what's not. And when it comes to something as simple, yet complex, as a hug, Stoicism can teach us how to respond in a way that's authentic, meaningful, and unforgettable. 1. The power of presence. Let's start with presence. Stoics believed in being fully present in every moment. Why? Because the present moment is all we truly have. Think about it. When someone hugs you, where is your mind? Are you thinking about what you're going to say next? Are you worrying about how long it's lasting? Or are you fully there, feeling the connection, the warmth, the energy between you? Being present in a hug means letting go of all the noise in your head and just being. It's about feeling the moment without judgment or distraction. And when you do that, something magical happens. The other person feels it too. They feel seen, heard, and valued. And that's how you make a hug unforgettable. Story example. Take Marcus Aurelius, for instance. As a Roman emperor, he had countless responsibilities and distractions, but in his writings, he often emphasized the importance of being present. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Imagine if he were in a hug, he wouldn't be thinking about his next meeting or his to-do list. He'd be fully there in that moment. And that's the kind of presence we're talking about. 2. Emotional equanimity. Next up, emotional equanimity. This is a big one. Stoicism teaches us to manage our emotions, not suppress them. So when someone hugs you and all these feelings start bubbling up, joy, sadness, awkwardness, whatever, you don't let them take over. You acknowledge them, but you don't let them control you. This is especially important in emotional moments, like a goodbye hug or a hug during a tough time. If you can stay calm and grounded, you become a source of strength for the other person. And that's something they'll never forget. Story example. Think about Epictetus, who was born a slave and faced countless hardships. He taught that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Imagine him in a hug. No matter how emotional the moment, he'd remain steady. Not cold, but calm. And that steadiness would make the other person feel safe, like they could lean on him without fear. 3. The art of letting go. Now, let's talk about letting go. Stoics believed in accepting what we can't control. And here's the thing. You can't control how someone else feels about you. You can't control whether they'll remember the hug or not. What you can control is how you show up in that moment. Are you genuine? Are you kind? Are you fully there? That's what matters. So, when you hug someone, don't cling to the moment or overthink it. Just let it be what it is. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply let go. Story example. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, often wrote about the impermanence of life. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you're in a hug, don't imagine what the other person is thinking or what the hug means. Just be there. Let the moment unfold naturally. That's how you create something real. 4. The ripple effect of small actions. Finally, let's talk about the ripple effect. Stoics believe that even the smallest actions can have a big impact. A hug might seem like a small thing, but it can leave a lasting impression. Think about it. How many times have you remembered a hug years later? Maybe it was a hug from a parent, a friend, or even a stranger. Those moments stick with us because they're meaningful. And when you respond to a hug with presence, equanimity, and authenticity, you create a moment that the other person will carry with them. That's the power of small actions. Imagine a soldier returning home after years at war. The first hug they share with their family, that moment is everything. It's not just a hug, it's a reunion, a healing, a promise. And it's the small, genuine actions in that moment that make it unforgettable. 5. The virtue of kindness. Now, let's talk about kindness. Stoicism places a huge emphasis on virtues, and kindness is one of the most powerful ones. When someone hugs you, it's often an act of vulnerability. They're opening themselves up to you, even if it's just for a few seconds. How you respond can either make them feel safe or make them regret that moment. Stoicism teaches us to act with kindness, not because we expect something in return, but because it's the right thing to do. So, when you're in that hug, think about how you can make the other person feel valued. Maybe it's a gentle squeeze, a warm smile, or just holding the moment a little longer. Small acts of kindness like these can leave a lasting impression. Think about a time when someone hugged you during a tough moment. Maybe it was a friend who just sat with you silently and held you. That's kindness in action. It's not about grand gestures. It's about being there, fully and genuinely. 6. The balance of giving and receiving. Another important Stoic principle is balance. In life, there's a constant give and take, and the same applies to a hug. A hug isn't just about receiving comfort or affection, it's also about giving it. Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of this balance. Are you fully giving yourself in that moment, or are you holding back? Are you allowing yourself to receive, or are you too guarded? A meaningful hug requires both, giving and receiving. When you find that balance, the connection becomes deeper, and the moment becomes more memorable. Imagine a parent hugging their child. The parent gives comfort, but they also receive it, the child's innocence, their trust, their love. It's a two-way street, and that's what makes the moment so powerful. 7. The long-term impact of mindfulness. Finally, let's talk about mindfulness. Stoicism is all about being aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you bring mindfulness into a hug, it transforms the experience. Instead of going through the motions, you become fully aware of the moment, the warmth, the energy, the unspoken words. And this mindfulness doesn't just affect that one moment, it has a long-term impact. When you're mindful in your interactions, you build deeper connections over time. People remember how you made them feel, and those feelings stay with them long after the moment has passed. Think about a teacher who hugged a student after they accomplished something big. That moment of mindfulness, of truly seeing and celebrating the student, could inspire them for years to come. That's the power of being present. Here's the thing, a hug is a microcosm of life. It's a moment where two people come together, and how you show up in that moment says everything about who you are. Stoicism teaches us to be present, kind, balanced, and mindful. When you bring these principles into something as simple as a hug, you create a moment that's not just memorable, it's transformative. And that's the power of Stoicism. It's not just about philosophy, it's about how you live your life, one moment at a time. So, the next time someone hugs you, remember these principles. Be present, be kind, find the balance between giving and receiving, and above all, be mindful. That's how you turn a simple hug into a moment that stays with someone forever. That's the Stoic way. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. Let's explore more moments like this together.